Hey, Birkett here, along with Carlos Monarrez and Shawn Windsor for take two of our day after summation of Lions Washington. Guys, we tried to shoot one a second ago, but had a little interruption at the door, and so I left you guys hanging for a minute, so I apologize.
Was it a birthday clown?
It was we need a little work done around the house, so I had to take care of a contractor, meet with him for a quick second, and look, we started off last time by saying I was going to give you the floor, Shawn, and you suggested throwing it to Carlos. To the victors go the spoils, right? So
that's right. That's
Lions beat Washington 30-27. Give them credit for the win, but Carlos, you have to tell Shawn and me why we're wrong to come out of this game with as many questions as answers, because the Lions, in blowing a 21-point lead in the third quarter, they still don't look like a very good team to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They're not a very good team, But like you say, Dave, most of the NFL teams are not to maybe squeak into the playoffs, with 9 or 10 wins maybe. And this is why they talk about dagger time, right? In the spring and in the summer, because they knew that this is going to be their challenge of holding leads, extending leads, closing games out. This is who they're going to be. And I think this is one thing that it's not really fixable this season, but if Matt Patricia hangs on and whatever, they bring him back next year, they've got to rethink that, not only the defense, but that holistic, because you can't, and he talked about it, I wrote about it, that you can't have the offense going 3 and out or scoring too quickly sometimes and keeping the bend don't break defense out there for so long, because that's going to wear your defense down, not only in a game, but over the course of a season. So credit for the win, but they need to patch some holes and really rethink how they close games out against bad teams. 3 winnable games coming up. They need to be a lot more careful about that.
Shawn, I want to say first that you look like a cat burglar. You're in your car, ready to go get your next door. You got your little knit cap pulled over your head and everything. So good luck with whoever's home you break into. But no, when it comes to the Lions, look, I don't know that I'll ever be able to prove this, right? But I firmly believe that Matt Patricia was, one 59-yard field goal away from being fired. I mean, maybe if the Lions don't come back there, I don't know how they would have brought him back after blowing another huge lead in the manner that they did against another bad team. But look, I mean, to take Carlos' side on this, 4-5, right? Carolina, who has questions at running back and quarterback coming up this week, then a bad Houston team at home. We might be looking at a Lions team that, I don't know, has a small chance still to sneak into the playoffs. Is that fair?
I mean, it is fair. I mean, you're right. They could be 6-5. The Charlotte game is winnable, but that's no gimme, right? I mean, they've been competitive at least. Yeah. And I know the running back issue, but they've been at least they've shown some spirit and so forth. I would think that would be a fourth quarter game, and then they come back to play Houston. Houston's probably struggling as much as anybody right now. Did they even score yesterday, by the way, Dave?
I don't know what the final it was, but look, no matter how many points they scored, they still have Deshaun Watson, right? So, I mean, you got one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. That's a team that you can't take lightly. And Carolina, to your point, I mean, they look very well coached. Christian McCaffrey's missed a large chunk of the season. Teddy Bridgewater got banged up yesterday. Don't know what his status will be, but that's a game that, 2 months ago, I was thinking the Lions would win that one easily. Now I'm with you. I think that's sort of a toss-up of the game.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but let's be real. If they get to 6-5, and then I'm sorry, I can't remember the third game. Pardon me.
I think the Vikings or the Bears. One of those are up next, right?
Chicago,
yeah.
Chicago, yeah. That's. I mean, obviously they can play with Chicago, but that's no gimme. But let's just say they get to 7-5. I mean, Carlos is going to be doing jumping jacks and so forth. And hey, you know what, Dave? You and I are going to be. We want what the fans want, and the fans are probably confused right now. I noticed yesterday, and I know Twitter and social media is just sort of an anecdote a little bit. It's not a scientific poll to gauge the reaction of the majority of the Lions fans, maybe. But after they won in Atlanta, when when Stafford found Hawkinson in the end zone. They were fans were making dance videos, right? They were going nuts because you could still see the playoff potential. That was a really exciting win. I know yesterday was too, in a sense. Technically, it was walk off, but I think it was because of the blown 24-point lead or 21-point lead, right, against a team that was starting a quarterback who hadn't played in a while, who, by the way, Alex Smith threw for almost 400 yards. And that was so I think they're kind of fans were a little bit confused. Carlos and I talked about this yesterday. They don't know what to think. Of course, they would be happy if they made the playoffs. On the other hand, they're fans that want some change, so they just don't know what to think. So we're kind of in a weird spot right now. But you're right. You never apologize for a win. That was a heck of a 16 seconds or 18 seconds or whatever it was at the end of the game. And Stafford's done that a lot in his career. Matt Prater with that field goal. That was, kudos to them. That was great. A win is always, I think, better than a loss. But I don't know. I guess I'm back to deferring to Carlos, and maybe he's got the better pulse. He's got the better pulse of the region and what people are really feeling. Maybe you and I are a little too cynical.
No. Never defer to Carlos. That's always the wrong thing to do. But I think, look, if you look at Twitter, if you want to check my emails, I'll give you the password. Dave is great. Capital I, capital G. It's the Lions fans out there. They want change. I mean, that's what they want, and they think a win like yesterday's prolongs this misery that they're in. And look, as I look at the rest of the season now, right? I firmly believe that had the Lions blown that game, that we would be looking at a coaching change today. The fact that they didn't, and the fact that they are now 4-5, I don't know that there's a natural point now to separate from Matt Patricia until the end of the season. I mean, you're not going to do it, after this game, even if you lose, because you got a short week. Houston, Thanksgiving, maybe, but I mean, look, if you split these next two games, you're still in the playoff mix. So I think now we're going to watch these final 7 games and see how this thing plays out. And ultimately that's going to determine what Sheila Fordham does, what Bob Quinn does, if he's still the man, making in charge of the coaching decision.
And I would just say real quickly, unless they lose the next 2 and somehow lose sort of badly on Thanksgiving on a national audience like that, you could see maybe a change after that week. But I'm with you. I think it's an end of the season decision now. We'll see how the next few games play out. And I mean, Carlos has been arguing this all along. So again, I mean, I do hate to defer to him, but maybe he knows something. I mean, it's clear he's got inside information. Maybe he knows something we don't, Dave.
Yep, there he is, Patricia.
I just got to call you guys. You guys are both wrong. So, yeah, the thing about the fans, Shawn, and I think is that fans are like, Amazon reviews. It's just people complain. They don't like to go on there and give anybody credit. If you're going to judge the fan temperament by calls into radio shows and comments on our stories, they're all going to be negative. People like to complain on social media. It's never like
people like to celebrate
a measured response.
Don't give them anything to celebrate. If had the Lions,
Carlos, I don't agree with that at all. They were super excited after the Atlanta win. They were.
Yeah, I mean, that was a different circumstance, but there were still complaints. There were still, if you go back there and look at all those comments, people are still like, "Oh, they got lucky. You should still fire everybody, sell the team." I mean, it's the same thing. And the Lions have given fans no reason to not be angry over the decades, millennia, whatever it is. But the thing with this team is, you're gonna have to make a decision at some point, and if I don't think it makes much sense, like Dave said, at this point to get rid of Patricia or Quinn or whatever it is. I think Corey Unlin would be a fine interim coach, I guess, if that's where you're going to go. But, maybe Braden Coombs, Coach Coombs, I think would be pretty good. Anybody but Bevel, I think would be fine. So, yeah, I think it's going to be, and fans want upheaval. They want drama. They want all this stuff. And
well, they want a winner is what they want, right?
Well, they want a winner, but in when you can't have a winner, which is most teams in the NFL, you want drama. The NFL is built on drama. That's what the currency is. So they just want somebody. I mean, Quintez Cephas drops a ball, and it was like I saw a few comments, cut him. Like right, okay. So
didn't you slam your fist on the table when he dropped that ball? Dave, I looked over to Carlos and said, "Are we in the owner's box? What's going on?"
No cheering in the press.
I told Sean. No, I told Sean I've I just get tired of bad football. I mean,
he did say that. In fairness,
at the end of the day, just this, like you just want to see good plays. You want to see either team making good plays.
That really is Matt Patricia talking.
So
anyway, I get tired of bad football. I mean, you've been spending way too much time around your boy.
Credit to the Washington football team. They played a heck of a game, Dave. Let's remember that, okay?
Yeah, really good. Best 2-7 team in the NFL.
I did write that Alex Smith is not a terrible quarterback. He definitely should not have been, drafted number 1 overall, but he's a smart dude and he's a very accurate passer. You give that guy, any team gives that guy a soft zone, he's going to pick them apart. So, you're not, and especially if you're not a great defense, if you're an average defense, they brought that upon themselves. They should not have done that. But Smith is no joke. I mean, he knows how to play. So, but this week, like you said, McCaffrey and Bridgewater, if they can go, even if they can go at, not even a full speed or whatever, that's going to compromise an already struggling team. But you're right. That brings the pressure on them because people like you and Sean want a 40-point victory over bad teams, or it doesn't count, we want
good football, Carlos. Just like you said, you're sick of bad football. We've seen enough of it from the Lions, man. When you blow a 3-touchdown lead against a team that's not very good, that's bad football. You're not playing good defense. You're not
playing good offense either.
Certainly they got a little too conservative on that side of the ball, but the offense wasn't the one that gave up 3 straight touchdown, drives and 2 of them, the 11 play, 80+ yard variety. So I think the Lions have a lot of issues still. Nothing that happened yesterday solves those issues. And I still go back to the point that Sheila Ford made in June, that she wants to see significant improvement. And I don't care what the record says. Coaches will tell you, your boy Matt Patricia will tell you, that you don't look at these teams based on the record. That's what they say every single week about Washington, about Jacksonville. That's what they'll say about Carolina this week. You look at what you see on the field, look at what you see on film. And when you watch the Lions on film, when you watch what goes on the field, you don't see a very good football team. I mean, that's just regardless of the end result. That's the simple truth of the matter.
Can we? I think we can say something that'll make Carlos happy here. Let's pass out a little bit of credit here before we go to a couple of people. First of all, to DeAndre Swift, right? Who looks
excellent game.
Who looks like a player, right? The way he was, we've seen the quickness and the stop start and the ability to make people miss, the willingness to kind of run into people, the explosiveness, the quickness, all that. He's obviously can catch balls out of the backfield. He's versatile. He's a playmaker. And that was his best game yesterday. He talked about afterwards when we were kind of asking about it, or maybe y'all were asking him about it, what was the difference? And he said he's just more comfortable. He's not thinking as much, and he's reacting, which allows him to use those natural gifts, which are considerable. I mean, he is a really good looking player, which leads us to the other person we need to credit. And that's Bob Quinn for having the, I don't know if you want to call it moxie, courage, whatever, maybe stubbornness to take another running back in a second round, 2 years after he'd taken Kerryon Johnson. And knowing that I don't know what he knew about Kerryon Johnson, but look, we rip into Quinn because he's made some misses. Obviously, we talk about the Jared Davis pick maybe more than any other, but that was a really, really good pick by Quinn because Swift looks like a serious player.
I think Swift deserves.
Yeah, and let's not forget, we're giving everybody credit except for the person who decided to give him his first start and not to rush him along and put too much pressure on him. He gets credit for any of this because it's easy to hate Matt Patricia. So let's not give the coach any for this.
Listen, you defend Matt Patricia at every turn, no matter what happens. The fact of the matter is that Darrell Bevel has wanted to give DeAndre Swift a little more run going in previous weeks, and it hasn't happened. I mean, look, for some reason they've been too stuck on playing Adrian Peterson, and it's you're right, 100% right. It's nice that they played DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift looks like a good player. I scratch my head and say, why didn't you play him more before? I mean, certainly right out of training camp, maybe he wasn't ready coming off the injury, but he's the playmaker. He's the guy in that backfield that can get some things done. He's not perfect, but we saw some glimpses of it yesterday of why he can be, a very effective player in this offense.
Well, I think we saw enough from him early on. He wasn't quite crisp on those routes. He was turned the wrong way. Stafford, had a hard time hitting him on some short passes. I think he wasn't ready, and I think as our old boy Jim Coletta once said, I'm not going to put him out there to embarrass him. I think Matt Patricia knew, like the offensive coordinators always want to rush everybody out there. It's the head coaches who have to rein these guys in and say, listen, we can't rush these guys along. As much as it feels like we need this guy, you got to give them a little more time. And this season, for a lot of the players on any team, especially young players, was giving them time to catch up to the playbook and get comfortable, like Shawn said, like Swift said yesterday. And I think that, who knows, maybe it could have been last week, whatever, but around midseason, that's what DeAndre Swift needed, was a little bit more time. And running back's a tough position. You got to know a lot of stuff. So, and they had him out there for third down. They trusted him on third down. So, credit to Matt Patricia for having the patience and the wisdom to not let him run out there and get, feel embarrassed and pressure's on you. You're the starter. And, why did we, and then we have clever beat writers after, why did you start DeAndre Swift when Adrian Peterson was playing so well, coach, and
somebody asked me, I missed that question. But Carlos, it's a sunny day out today, so you make sure you give Matt Patricia credit for that too, because you would give him credit for anything. It's just,
no, this is really unbelievable.
The lengths that you go to praise Matt Patricia it's beyond comprehension.
It's just I'm not sure what to do here. I wish I might just go drive myself to the hospital and check myself in. I don't get what's happening. Swift deserves credit. He had a great game. He's shown these flashes for a while. Quinn obviously deserves credit for selecting him, but somehow this turns into, the Matt Patricia had been waiting and knew the exact time to plug him in to maximize his talent.
Stop, Carlos. Stop giving Matt Patricia credit at every turn for every single thing that goes on. You just, I'm telling you, I'm looking out for you.
The problem is,
I do like that you have a landline still. I appreciate. I'm glad that we got to see that in a bit.
I got a fax machine too. No, I don't have a fax machine. No, the problem is you guys play checkers and I play chess. I see the whole board. You guys just see one move to the next, and
sure.
You guys follow the normal train of thought, the simplistic. Oh, he drafted him. He played well.
We get into Quinn. We get into Quinn for making choices that don't work out. So it's only fair to give him credit when he makes choices that do. That's just.
That's true. That's true, because there are some people who say you shouldn't draft running backs very high because you can find them off the garbage pile somewhere. But it's not true. Those guys are versatile, important pieces. And even though some people do find running backs somewhere late in the draft, in the draft or free agents, whatever. When you find a guy that you think is going to be valuable, you draft him, you spend capital on him, and Quinn does get credit for that, for sticking. It wasn't quite the Matt Millen receiver, but 2 running backs in the second round in whatever 3 years, that took a little bit of guts,
I'll say this too. I think it's good just to add to your point. And the debate has always been about why are you drafting him if you're also, going to then give that veteran Adrian Peterson scrap heap guy and play him over him. So I think that was a big part of the debate. But to draft a running back, especially in the second round, you're getting the best 4 years out of him, and you're not paying him anything. So I think it's a wise choice. One other, group that I think deserves a little bit of, accolades here is the offensive line. That was a pretty good defensive line, and Stafford took a couple hits. 1 sack, they had another one overturned by penalties, but the offensive line helped open that some of those rushing lanes for DeAndre Swift. They kept Matthew Stafford upright, and I thought at least they were a big part of the Lions' success, especially early offensively yesterday. So there's certainly some credit to go around, and that goes to the coaching staff too, Carlos. Look, they you get a win. Hey, at the end of the day, that's better than a loss, like we said. But we'll see. Big 7 weeks still ahead. And I think it starts here against Carolina in a very winnable game, but also a little bit of a trap game on the road against a team that's really well coached.
It's all going to be trap games. It's 7 weeks of trap games. It's not going to matter. Every game is going to have Matt Patricia starting. Let me ask you on the grades, Dave. So Stafford starts at an A and Patricia starts at an F, right? And then it just has to it works its way up or down on those 2 guys, right?
I think I gave Stafford what I gave him for his midseason. A C.
Oh,
right?
for the C plus. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, you think I'm a Stafford apologist. I think Stafford plays. He has not had his best year. I mean, a C certainly is a C plus, whatever it was, is certainly not saying that he's like Pro Bowl caliber, all pro, having his best season. He played really well against Atlanta when it counted, leading scoring drives at the end of the first half and at the end of the game that really mattered. Look, yesterday's drive, he deserves some credit for it, but he threw a perfect ball to Quintez Cephas, who couldn't track it, right? I mean, they should have won the game there. But ultimately, why they got the field goal was because of that penalty on Chase Young. So it wasn't like this was Matthew Stafford's best drive ever. But I think when you take into account, a couple drops, that pass at the end, he threw 9 incompletions all day, threw one of them away, if I'm not mistaken. I thought he played pretty well against pretty good defense after banging his hand and gave the Lions a chance to win. And then, of course, he did make a couple throws in that last drive, but ultimately, I wouldn't say that he was the biggest reason why they won that game. That was DeAndre Swift, as Shawn said. That was Matt Prater, that clutch kick. And that was Chase Young committing that penalty, frankly, that put them in the field position they needed to make that kick. So, but regardless, look, Lions are 4-5. That's where we stand here on a Monday morning. And big game ahead. Shawn, I think you're going to be out in Carolina this week too. Is that right? Are you going, or is that?
No, it's Jeff's going to be there.
All right. Well, I'll miss you on the road. Maybe we can.
Yep. Sorry about that, bud. Yep.
Yeah. I know. Maybe we can still include you in the Monday video next week. We don't want to leave you out. I mean, I hope you don't get caught arrested here with your next caper that you're about to commit. And but Carlos and I I'm sure we'll be talking at some point about Matt Patricia and everything that goes on next week's game. So you're always invited. I've got.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to it. And Carlos, maybe you could give me a massage like you do with Matt. I mean, right? That'd be nice. I got a little stiffness in the shoulder and the neck here. That'd be nice.
Yeah. If you can work us in Thanksgiving next week, Shawn. It's a tight, busy week, but come on over to the house. I'll give you a massage. We'll set it up for you.
That'd be nice.
All right, that'll do it for us. We're going to wrap this one up here and leave it at that. Again, Lions beat Washington 30-27 to get to 4-5, remain on the fringes of playoff contention. Big game against the Carolina Panthers coming up this Sunday. For Carlos Monarrez and Shawn Windsor, I'm Dave Birkett, Freak.com.